Hello ladies and mental chain, and welcome to another replay cast. Today we're looking at the game in the FV4202, aka the Prius, a tier 8 British medium premium that did get changed a bit in the latest update. It did get its top speed changed from 40 to 50, and I am here to answer, has that made this tank on par with, the tanks that I actually recommend to buy, because this definitely was not there. And spoiler alert, it still isn't. There is still like some crucial problems with this tank that really will prevent it from being like on any kind of top tier list for, well, at least in my book. But it's really hard to recommend this tank generally. Like, it's not terrible, and the gun has some qualities that you can definitely work with, but the entire package together is kind of hard to sell for me, at least. And the biggest problem with this is probably the just generally terrible aiming time, especially when you're somewhat active on the map, when you try to take some different angles and stuff. And here we started off with sniping the middle, and then we realized that we're gonna have to be the one who holds back the valley, because our entire team is camping by the city, and there's probably going to be a lot of shitters in the valley. So that is going to be our main task for this game, is to generally peek here and try to do damage. Not in that angle though, as that does not work too well. But what I was saying is that the gun on this tank is just so... it's just weird. Like, if you peek like this, like, it's not too bad. As you can see, our aiming is really nice and tight. But once you start turning your turret, once you actually start driving this tank, the aim goes so badly, so quickly. It's on par with how bad it is on the CDC, but the CDC is so much faster that it's kind of weird with this one. But this is like kind of the perfect encounter for this tank. You're at range to your enemies, you have a hull down position. That's a bit unfortunate, and that is as well. You're at range, you can snipe your enemies. Your enemies are a bit silly and sitting in the open as well, so you have a nice shots all across the board, and you can really shoot every time you reload, because there's no shitters to shit on you here. So this is a really strong defensive position for me, and it's going to be very hard for the enemy team to dig me out of here. And in general, this position is obviously your last-ditch effort. Like, if you know you're going to get fucked in the valley, you can take this position. It's gonna be relatively very strong, but I wouldn't recommend like anybody to start off in this position, as it is very passive and only really works if there's a lot of people working or pushing the valley. That enemy FV4202 is such a bad player, yeah, we are sniping it off against this T4485 and the other Prius while trying to put some damage into that Oho and stuff, as well as we definitely want to abuse the fact that he is aiming at my friends, so we want to shoot him for that every time if we can. But first of all, obviously, I should take care of my own threats, like the T3485 actually. But yeah, the score is 2-7, so pretty classical team for me. We're trying to do as much as we can, and we are doing some nice damage. I mean, we're already at 2.3k, and we haven't received a single damaging shot in return. We did get our gun damaged, but that's not that big of a deal. Also, I have this Moots joining me in this position, which might be a bad thing, might not be a bad thing as well. And the thing about this armor, it kind of works if you're able to play this kind of a hull down spot. In general, you still cannot really rely on the armor, but since I'm sitting on full hit points, it's a bit irrelevant. The worst thing for me here now would be taking another shot into the gun. And say what you want about this tank, but this kind of a longer range shooting and abusing the gun depression and the armor as well, this is definitely one of the stronger tanks to play this position with. You could argue that I could have done the same with any tank with the same gun depression. Obviously, I could have taken some damage in tanks that don't have that much armor, but for instance, playing this position on like an M4 Rev, it would be much more painful for my enemies to sit there. But then again, I did absorb 1200 damage with the turret, so I would not be able to play as aggressive or peek as aggressively as I did this entire game, even though I did play in the corner, so you can't really say that I played aggressive. This CDC is gonna be a bit annoying in front of me, but this, as I said, this FA player is terrible. And he was actually aiming that entire time and still missed that shot. And that's just, how bad this gun can be. And you hit only for 230, so whenever you're actually aggressively playing, it's really tricky to nail shots. And also the turret shape is really silly. Once you're not hull down, your enemies can shoot you way before you can see them, which is something you definitely need to play around. But the game equaled out. The other side actually held it together reasonably well. Probably the Scorpion did some nice job there, and we can just clean up this side without any problems as well. As the Bulldog has nothing to do, well, nothing left to do than die. And the CDC does execute him. Maybe we can also get the shot on this T20 and finish the game off with 5 kills, and we actually can. Alright, so we finish off the game with an Ace Tanker, 4,342 experience with a double tank sniper, high caliber. Did 4,471 damage, assisted for none, blocked 1,230 damage, and picked up 5 kills, as well as 1,447 base XP. And we ended up making 111k credit profit, which isn't too big of a number for this much damage, but we didn't assist for any, and we were sniping from range quite a lot, so probably somebody got half of the credits and experience I would have gotten if I was spotted for myself. So not too bad of an outcome here, but is the Prius worth the gold, or is it, you know, competitive with more known tanks? Not really. I mean, it is strong at this one thing, which is sitting held down at quite a long range. It really kind of shudders once you close the distance, because the DPM is kind of not there, and the shape of it means that on flat ground your enemies can shoot you before you can see them because of the way the turret is shaped. But overall, the speed buff definitely helps this tank to be more effective, and if you position yourself well enough, this tank can be reasonably powerful. But that being said, I think there is better choices around, so it's hard to really recommend this unless you're really into British tanks. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this replay cast, and I'll see you on the next one.